Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I want the first topic that we discuss on this channel to be intentions. Because an intention is something that we need to set at the beginning of doing any action. And it's not just something that we set at the beginning of doing any action, it's something that we set at the beginning and then we actively, and not just passively, but we actively follow up on that intention to make sure that it's pure, to make sure that it's sincere throughout the action, to make sure that we don't deviate from the goal that we initially had when doing that action. And so intentions are what we do, but it's also why we do them. And in understanding why we do an action, we see that the reward of an action is also tied to why we do it. It's tied to our intention. And we see that inside a famous hadith where the Prophet ﷺ is saying, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, indeed actions are judged by their intentions. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى, and for every single person is what they intend. And we can see this further inside another hadith in Bukhari and Muslim where the Prophet ﷺ mentions that if you are to intend to do a good deed and something comes in your way and you're no longer able to do that good deed, but you intended to do it, and if that thing didn't come in the way, you would have done it. For that sincere intention, you get one good deed for that, just for the intention. And if you are to carry out that good deed, then that good deed can be multiplied 10 times, can be multiplied 700 times, and your good deed can be multiplied. And if you intend to do a bad deed, you intend to do a sin, but then you realize that this is something that Allah prohibited. This is something that will ultimately harm me and something bad for me, so you decide, I will no longer do this sin. In that, you are rewarded for holding back your bad intention. And so you get one good deed if you intend something bad, but then you decide not to do it. And the time where you get a sin is if you intend to do a bad deed and you carry out that bad deed. And so we see that the intention and the reward is tied. And you can be rewarded for a good intention, and you can be rewarded for holding back a bad intention. And so the initial hadith, going back to that initial hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, indeed actions are judged by their intentions. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى, and for every single person is what they intend. The next part discusses the hijrah. And the hijrah is the migration of the Muslims from Mecca to Medina in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when the Muslims were being persecuted in Mecca and they weren't able to practice their Islam in Mecca, so they traveled to Medina for a safe land because of their Islam. They traveled for the sake of Allah, they traveled for their Islam, and they traveled for their religious freedom. And so the hadith continues, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, and so whoever's hijrah, their migration, is for Allah and His Messenger, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, then his migration is for Allah and His Messenger, meaning he will be rewarded as such, meaning he will be rewarded for leaving behind whatever wealth he had in Mecca or whatever wealth she had in Mecca and simply going to Medina because they want to practice their Islam and they left that behind for their Islam. And so they will be rewarded as such with a beautiful reward. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِدُنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا, and whoever's hijrah at that time was for some worldly thing or for somebody that they wanted to get married to, then فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ, then his hijrah, his migration, is for whatever he migrated for. And so in doing an action, why you do it can dictate your reward. Why you do it can dictate how you're rewarded for that action. And so it's especially important for us, starting this channel up, that we purify our intentions, that we have sincere intentions, to have these intentions in the beginning, now, and to actively and continuously check on these intentions throughout moving along with this journey. And so may Allah allow us to have pure intentions. May Allah allow us to have sincere intentions throughout. May He protect us from ever deviating from what is right. And may He make this a means of goodness for me and for you. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.